we have Saebin Puder here.
Hey, what's up?
And he's going to be performing for us a little bit later. Not that much later, so don't go away. You got to stay right here. But while I have him in the studio, I feel like I might as well ask you a couple of questions, personal questions that are really going to dig into you, you know?
Oh, dang, I'm ready to be dug into.
So, first question I really am curious to know about here. What was the driving inspiration for you to not just start playing music, but to start writing it? Because a lot of people play music and they don't want to write, but what really made you want to start writing music?
Well, basically, I wanted to be a soccer player for a long time, and actually a football player, but I wasn't allowed to play football. So I was a soccer player, and I thought I was going to be a professional soccer player, and then basically my uncle passed away from drug overdose, and he was a musician and someone I always looked up to, and I always try to, play along with him and stuff like that, but I never really could pick up the guitar. But once he passed away, it gave me that burning desire to really pick up the guitar, and then I think I was playing for about a year, just kind of learning the basics and the chords, just learning songs and stuff, and then all of a sudden I was like, my dad was like, you should write a song, and I'm like, I have nothing to talk about. Like, I'm homeschooled. Like, I have no friends. Like, what am I supposed to talk about? So he forced me to write a song. I ended up writing a song about my current love interest at the time that didn't love me back. And then it kind of all just started, and kind of stopped playing music, and I just had like this urge to just write music all the time. And so I just started writing music about anything and everything that I was feeling and everything that I was eternalizing, and stuff to try to relate with other people so that they could feel like they weren't the only ones.
Right.
So, yeah. One time I even wrote a song because I was mad because I had to do math. I had to do math homework, and I was like, dude, I'm about to go to the garage and write a song right now. So,
that's great. What was that song called?
Unknown.
Unknown?
It's just about my future and stuff like that, and not knowing where I was going.
Because you couldn't figure out a math problem?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, dude, like I'm doing math right now. Like, why am I doing math? I don't know. Because I'm supposed to be doing a desk job somewhere. Like,
dang.
Or I could go to the garage and write a song, because that's what I really want to do with my life. And then next thing I know, I got to Berklee, and I was like, hey, maybe this could work out.
Right.
So.
Yeah, definitely. That sort of segues into the next question that I wanted to ask you, and that is, a lot of people, when they write songs, they're personal and stuff like that. But then there's also a big amount of people, whenever they write, they're sort of just writing because it's more appealing to others. So they're like, generating these fake-ish stories to sort of cast a wide net to a large amount of audience. So when you write your music and when you play it mainly, what is really going through your head in retrospect of why you're doing it and how you're doing it?
I mean, it's just music is an expression. Like, I never really, until music came around, I didn't really know how to express myself. So I used music as an expression. And, at first I was trying to appeal with the type of music I made and the things I talked about. But then when I realized that, life isn't just all about girlfriends and breakups and
right.
stuff like that. It's about me expressing who I am and telling the stories that I've been through. And I think that's my favorite thing about music. And kind of if everybody just writes songs about the same thing, that just this cliche sort of thing, then that's what makes music so boring today. But you come to a place like Berklee, and people they know how to express themselves through music, and that's all I really want to do, is just express myself through music. And if somebody relates with it, they relate with it, and if they like it, that's all I really want to do, is just make my music. And if somebody thinks it's cool, then I hope they listen to it, hope they buy it, hope they see me on tour one day, so. But that's just the dream.
Right. Let's see, we can fit in another question here. What would you say are your top musical inspirations, whether that be artists or specific albums or even specific songs, if you have them? What inspires you to write in the style that you do?
I mean, the style that I do, I don't even know if I have a style. It's it's all over the place, and there's just too much music out there, and I love too much music. So it's honestly, there's not really any influencers. I mean, my first love, when it comes to guitar, I'm not even really a guitar guy. I got into Berklee on guitar because I just knew how to play that instrument. But what really drove me to play the guitar was my uncle who played the guitar. And then my first love after I got into the guitar was John Mayer. So he's definitely my idol when it comes to guitar playing, because he's like, there's no one modern day that's like him.
Right.
You know, he's definitely like the best of our time, you know, and he can still play with all the old school, you know, guitarists and whatnot, because like he's that far up. Like he played with like B.B. King and like stuff like that, Eric Clapton, and like Eric Clapton said he was a musical genius. Like, but people always look over that because he's like a pop star. But you know, low key, he has some roots in him.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't really have like a specific specific people. I think one of my favorite artists that probably really changed the way I looked at music was 21 Pilots, with just like how open they were about just like everything, and how they kind of do things, and how they incorporate not only their music and like all these different like genres of music and just blend them together like perfectly, but also the way that they do their live shows, the way that they kind of make these theme albums, and then like kind of make this whole story to go behind it, and and they even like make a whole like live show like based off of the themes of the album and stuff like that. So that's always something that I wanted to do. So I'd say John Mayer and 21 Pilots were probably the big turning points. But then I also love like bands like Pierce the Veil, which is like more on my heavy side, which is something I've always wanted to get around to, is making like a sort of hardcore punk rock EP, or album, or multiple albums, I don't know. But Pierce the Veil, I'd say, is probably another big one that I really got into early on, and basically that really pushes my emo side,
right, of course,
my punk side. So, and just like the way that they are like a hard rock band with like all these things that all these like hard rock bands have, except they actually are like melodic, and they make like all these different rhythms in their music, and these different like just chord progressions that are just like unheard of, you know, just in that type of music, or any type of pop music. And so and the way they write too is amazing. But those are three of my big inspirations when it comes to bands and artists.
those are fairly different genres when it comes to music.
Of course,
too.
There's honorable mentions too, like Radiohead.
Okay. Oh heck yeah, gotta love Radiohead.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're been around. They're like one of the bands that are still relevant and still make good music.
Exactly.
And were around like during the 80s. So, you know. But, you know.
All right.